Okay, and welcome back to our second panel session for today. And the title of today's panel session, right? Please invite your mother friends. It's stay-at-home special, run your home like a COO. So even if you're not a stay-at-home mom, but there were periods in your life where you were a stay-at-home mom, or you're even considering, this panel session is for you. So do invite your other mom friends, or even just friends, right? Because I think it makes a difference to have their spouses understand that role, that position. So with that, I'm going to be introducing you to each of my lovely panelists. Let's start with Sophia Lloyd. She is the founder of AMSOP.
Yes.
Wonderful. But I think more than that, the way I know Sophia is she's a mom of 4 kids, and 4 kids with no helper throughout. And on top of that, when her youngest was 2 years old, when the youngest was 4 years old, she decided to be an entrepreneur all the time without having any helper. So you must have a system that works, and later you'll be sharing that with us. Yeah, thank you so much, Sophia. And then we have Dr. Mythili. Dr. Mythili, who is not just a physician, but also a lactation consultant. Yes. I mean, that's something that you do passionately. And your expertise is really on food, right? Would that be?
It's not just food, it's about nutrition and being well, such that you prevent illnesses from actually even coming up, right? So you're keeping yourself well so that you don't need to see a doctor. Does that make sense?
Definitely. And I think that's critical because, when a mom anchors the home, food, right? Like we say, we are what we eat. Food is critical. So share some treasures with us, some nuggets. And then we also have Alex, who is a professional organizer. So I thought it was very interesting when I first got to know Alex, and she said, I'm the Marie Kondo of Singapore. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, because a lot of mothers would know, whether you're stay-at-home mom or not, that home organization is one of the greatest challenges, so to speak. And often we end it with like, never mind lah, toys everywhere, clothes everywhere, only when people come to visit. Pack up, and then there's a huge, mess, and whether it's the helper or the kids or the mother gets stressed, and then we organize everything just to show a nice house, right? But in reality, if we have, designated areas, and there is a system that works, the entire environment is like that 365 days a year. Why not, if that is an option, right? Where seamlessly it happens. So that's what we look forward to bringing you. Do type in your questions so that we can answer them as we go along. And with that, I want to start this panel session, yeah? Okay, let's start with the role of the mom as a COO. The truth is, the housewife, I mean, it has different names, right? From housewife to stay-at-home mother to homemaker. It is really the longest profession from the caveman days, right? Where the hunter would go out and the female would look after the house, everything, or the cave, right? Everything within, from food to where things are, to the order of how kids grow up, everything she manages. And that's why we use COO, where the daily operations is really under this person's jurisdiction, yeah? So if I were to start with you, Sophia, would you say, right, so, from housewife, stay-at-home mother, the different, would you say this title ably describes a mom?
I would say definitely it describes a mom. Okay, maybe I would say all of us start off as a child. Okay? I'm a daughter. So I see my mom. My mom is a working mom. She works, considered in the past, working mom in the past is like something different. So the CEO for my case is my nanny, so that is a difference. So when I start to grow up, I start to have my own family because I want to spend time with my children, because I don't get it with my mom. So I want to have with my children. So I've given up my jobs that I have started for about 10 years. So I become a stay-at-home mom for the next 10 years. So I was don't want to waste my time just complete. Actually, I want 6. My husband said no Okay, so I try to have the gaps not so far apart. It's like a 2 years gap, because if their gap is closer, they can spend more time. They understand each other. They play the same things and all that stuff. So that's from the stage from a daughter, I become a wife, then I become a mom. So during that stage, I would say that things are all new. It's nothing that I experienced before. So we start to learn. I mean, for my case, I'm pretty systematic myself, and I don't like to have interruptions. I don't like to have a sudden change. You know, it's just a character, you see. But when you are outside work, it's not like that. When we work outside, everything changed. Everything suddenly changed. Your boss tell you, I want it now, then it means you have to have it. So somehow or other, we bring our work life to the home. So at home, if you want to have a system, I mean, if you want everything to go smooth, you need to have a system. So what I do is I create my system around my family, as in whatever is comfortable for me. Because you have to be comfortable with yourself in order to have a system. Because if I just want to follow, like maybe I find that, oh, her system very good, I try to follow, but it's not, I'm not in her surrounding, and I'm not comfortable, because maybe she's like nutritionally, she's very careful with her food, you know, example, but I'm not. I eat everything, anything. You know, it's like, how am I supposed to do that? I will stress myself. Then I become very unhappy, you see. So I tend to work around my environment. So, but I do strongly believe with Dr.
Mythili.
Yes, that health is very important. Okay, I didn't start it correctly. I personally, to be honest with you, but I think it's very important, because we are the one that create the healthy child, the healthy adults. Because what I created them is like they love food, anything they eat. So that it becomes like, yeah, really, anything they eat. So it also affects my health. So I started to change only later, and I do find it's a bit difficult to adjust.
Wonderful.
So it's like a system, yeah.
Wonderful. I love what you talk about system, because really, to all our viewers, the system is for you to create. So as the COO, listen to what the different panelists have to say. Rita, but you decide on the system that works for you best, because you know your strengths, you know your kids, you know your environment, you know what you want. Okay, so listen from that. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sophia. And now, Dr. Mythili. Would you think that CEO might be a better description than COO? So, you know, typically CEO projects the vision. COO does the daily operations and handling and the communicating with staff. Your thoughts?
Oh, this is tricky. So, okay, CEO comes up with the vision, overarching kind of system and everything. And the CEO is someone who executes it, right? I think we have to be fluid. You have to be a COO in the sense that you need to get things done. You need to get like the food prepared. You need to get the clothes ironed. You need to get like school bags packed. You make sure that they are loving and, you know, they're not destroying each other's faces, for example. You know what I mean? But having the vision and the mission and all of those things, the overarching goals for the family, I think that's really important. So I think it's a blended role, if you want to put it that way. You have to be a CEO, you have to be the CEO, you'd have to be the PR person, you have to be the HR person, you've got to be every single thing. And that's why I think motherhood is hard. Whether or not you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom like I am, we have to be everything. We have to be fluid.
And I brought that up because I think you know, the generations have changed. It used to be the fathers being the CEO more because they bring home the bacon, the dough, right? But in today's dual income family, the reality is a lot of mothers have a say, and it's not just about the earning that they have, the independence, but I think in a lot of relationships today, it becomes more of a partnership where what do we want for our family with regards to not just each child in terms of education or what we want, how are we going to get along there, but even daily operations like food. You know, just in the car coming here, my husband and I were having this huge discussion on food because he just bought this huge bag of snacks last night. And I was like, can we cut down on snacks? And obviously it's not the 10th time that we had that conversation, but multiple times, right? And then he's like, tell me the science again. And I'm like, again, you know, so I think it's really right. Sometimes we don that CEO hat, sometimes we don that COO and like PR, and it's many different hats, but I bring that CEO because if the mother is not clear on the direction that I want to go 10, 20 years down the road, I'm just going to be surviving life today, right? Instead of having that vision, and whether it's even values, right? So I think in any organization, we always have core values. So what are our family values? Just 3. No need even to have too many, because I realize more than 3, the kids don't remember. I also don't remember, you know, but I realize just having 3, right? And then encouraging this 3, instilling it is more important than having a not long list. Look very good, but nobody remember. Not practical.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even with rules, I think having 1 or 2 is enough. 3 also a bit of a push. I
Values,
think.
not rules.
Whatever.
Rules. Oh, you mean rules.
Potato.
Okay. Rules as well. Okay. I get. Yeah. And because once they abide, if they do, you know, to those rules, then add in new ones if you want. But I mean, one of the things I will share is just 1 first. Because if they can't even do, because it's not just, it's also on enforcing those rules. So you can come up with the best rules in the world. If you don't enforce, then it becomes
nothing. It's just
nothing.
Words. Yeah, it's just words in the end of it.
So it's the enforcing that takes out of us as well. Because, you know, sometimes we're tired, we come back, do we still enforce? You know, no chocolate and sweets after 8, you know, that kind of things, right? And Alex, I want to bring you in, right? Like, you know, working in the professional world, very often when you know you're talking to your COO, you're like respectful, or your CEO, you make sure what you say is important, but yet authority at home. Sometimes the mom struggles with that because, you know, you see the child every day, the relationship is not that clear cut, right? You say yes, they shout back no, you know. So how would you advise moms, right, to deal with that slightly less of you know, that how do I say, that tightrope that they are walking on in terms of authority? Do they demand respect or how?
Wow, this is a very tough question for me, you know. Number 1, I'm not a mom.
Yet.
Okay, so I think this is a very different, every mom has a different style. So you need to follow your flow of your style to, okay, for me, I'm quite authoritative. I'm definitely quite authoritative. Like, if I ever have a kid, he have to follow a system, like literally a military system, you know, like, okay, you have to do this. But I'm also allowing them to be playful at times as well, you know. So it really depends on how you want to draw the line. I mean, it really depends on the family, you know, how you want to draw the line. Yeah.
Understand. Okay, so
I moms here, do you want to chip in?
Well,
I think you need to, okay, as a mom, you need to have a certain position. It's just like, if I'm the boss, you don't talk back to me. Technically, it's something like that. You know what I mean? So I mean, you go out and work. Do you go and scold your boss? I mean, you ask a child if you really finally go out to work. So something we have to adjust. Not say we scold the boss, but we talk. We can discuss. So our position at home is very important, because if we don't have that kind of authority, things will go haywire. I'm not trying to say that we are unreasonable or bossy. I mean, me and my husband always tell our kids, there's rules for the house. You have to follow the rules. I'm not telling you you have a choice. It's just that there's a house rules. But of course, if you move out, you have your own house rules. Whatever you want to do is fine. But as long as you're within these rules, you have to follow the rules. It's just that when you go to work, boss asks you to come at 9, you come at 10. No, it's like a certain office rules that you need to follow. So we start from home. If you don't start them from home, they will not be able to adjust when they go out. They will think that anytime I can wake up, anytime I can step in, anytime I want to go and drink coffee, they will get shocked. They will get culture shock when they go outside. We don't want that to happen to our children.
Wonderful. Let's talk about the importance of a system, right? Because I mean, I'm going to be very frank. When I only had 1 child, we didn't really have a system. The system was whenever we sleep, she sleeps, which is about 12 or 1 a.m., you know. And then the more children we began to have, then I realized, you know, like McDonald's franchise, right? When you actually have a system that works, I don't need to be there. For the system to still continue regardless of individual key beings, people, right? So, Mythili, I want to, Mythili.
Yes,
Mythili, sorry. I want to ask you, with regards to food, how do you create a system where everyone in the house is aligned on that?
Oh, this is tricky because I am vegetarian and so are my kids. My husband eats meat. The helpers, obviously, they make whatever they want for themselves, and the dogs have their own kibble and their treats, right? So there are various types of diets in the family, and what we tend to do is, again, overarching formula, vegetables. So every single meal has to have vegetables. Half the plate is filled with vegetables, a quarter with whatever carbs, and a quarter with proteins. And so I feel that, and I think quite a lot of the people who are in my scene tend to believe that a lot of our nutrients come from vegetables. And you know, Michael Pollan has actually said, eat food, eat food, eat moderately or something like that, and more vegetables, basically. So not too much, eat more vegetables. And that's basically what we try and do. And food, we always talk about a gut feeling, and what is the gut feeling? It's basically what we're feeding the gut, because we, in our bodies as human beings, have got more bacterial cells in our gut as compared to human cells. And our gut feel really comes from our gut. What we put into our body determines how we're feeling, how we're thinking, how we perform in this world.
So the question I have for you, right,
Yes.
in the beginning, right, because you say you are vegetarian,
Yeah.
but you agree to disagree. And I think that's very, very powerful, because in many families, you know, not everyone is an individual, right? But how did you and your husband come up with that in the beginning? Or, you know, in like the kids, would they be vegetarian by choice? Is it by their choice? Did you all give them the difference? Did you let them try meat, or how was it like?
Well, this is again very tricky, and I love how you bring up all these tricky topics. How we started, so I mean, my husband and I dated since we were in uni, so many, many years ago, and I can't reveal ages
That's
and
fine.
names. But how we started off was, that was what I stood for, to be vegetarian and not killing or harming animals, because I absolutely love animals. And my husband, for him, it was important that he ate meat, because that was a cultural thing. That was a family thing. That's how he bonded with his family. So, you know, when they go out, they had to have various types of meats, and that was, you know, that was what they stood for. And for me, food was always, yeah, we'll eat just to survive, and then we'll do other things, you know, that's fun. And so we had to play the game of push and shove. And so ultimately we decided, see, I'm not going to change, and you're not going to change, and we agreed to disagree. With the kids, for instance, what had happened was, you know, obviously they had to eat what I ate. I wasn't going to go out of my way to make something differently for them. But whenever we had a party, for example, and there was meat on the table, they're like, can I try that? I'm like, yeah, sure. But I try and inform of where the source of the food comes from, right? So, you know, when we go to the farm, there are chickens, and oh, that's chicken. I'm like, what? You mean the chicken? I'm like, yeah, that's chicken. I'm like, where are the feathers? Oh, they've been taken out. And so, you know, we go down that discussion, because I think it's really important for the child to understand where the food comes from. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. No, because just a few days ago, I was out, and I think it was a food court. We went to get dinner, I think. And when we went there, suddenly this thing, it hit me, right? We are so used to having half the plate, if not all, full of rice, just because it fills the stomach. And I get the concept. And then you choose your dishes. It's as if, you know,
sides,
yeah,
right?
they are sides. They are not the mains, right? And just this morning, that was what our conversation was on. I was like, maybe we should start introducing a bit more greens, like a bit more than just like 1/10 of the plate as of now, you know.
That's it, yeah.
But I think in just, you know, that half thing that it becomes so automatic for your children that I'm sure it's so easy for them, yeah. Now it's just what it is.
Exactly. And the more colors you have on your plate, not talking about colorful plate on its own, but the more different colors of vegetables that you have, the more nutrients you're getting as well. So you're feeding the gut, different parts of the gut as well. So
I've heard that concept, eating the rainbow.
that's it,
right?
That's
Right?
it. That's
Eating
it.
the rainbow. And when I first heard it, I thought that was brilliant, a brilliant way to entice the kids, but also for me to remember, hey, mine doesn't look like the rainbow today. It looks like only 2 colors, you know, in that sense.
White and brown.
Yes,
right?
normally, right? And then, okay, and it really got me thinking. I was like, come girls, come, let's sit down. What are the 7 colors of the rainbows? I mean, I know there's a lot more, but these are the identified ones,
Yes.
right? And then we were like, and then what's that violet or that purple? And we actually had to think, and after a while, then we got brinjal, you know, after a while. But then I realized it was so out of our norm that it wasn't, no wonder it was never on our plate. You know, and then to begin to introduce, are we eating the colors of the rainbow today? Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of the same color every day, right? And all the meals, you know?
Yes.
Without knowing.
Correct.
So that's a very quick check to remind ourselves, yeah?
Totally.
For that balance. And Alex, your strength is really in space organizing, right? And you talk about why is it as a professional planner, why would you, because you mentioned that in organizing spaces, you create meaningful conversations. And I thought that was very interesting. How does creating my space create meaningful conversations?
I mean, when you feel comfortable in your space, you're actually exhibiting your real you, right? I mean, there's nothing for you to hide, for you to organize, or for you to even waste time, say that, hey, let me clear up this space before I reach out to you, or before I could post you. You are ready all the time. So let's say, for instance, someone want to come to my place today. Yeah, ready. Like, come. Sure, come. My doors are open, versus like, oh, I can't. My house is a little bit messy today. Like, how about you come on Wednesday instead?
No, let's meet outside. That's what never happens.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, with more space, you can actually have more activities as well. You can not only have conversations, you can actually like play certain games. Like, you can do a lot of things with a space. And a living room is just not a living room. A living room can be transformed into like a playground for your kids, a gymnastic room for your kids, or you can hop around like your house. Like your house is like multifunctional room. Like exactly, your dining room is a study area. Your dining area is also where they play the flying fox, right?
What? Flying fox? So
it's just great to have the space being not just a singular thing. You just don't see a living room as a living room, and the kids will know that, oh, this living room, I can have so much fun in this, And I feel like this is something that they can share and invite friends over, and this where when you're young, you invite friends over. This where also relationships are being built and formed.
So my question for you, right? How do we keep the spaces neat and organized? I mean, am I right, mums?
How to keep it?
Okay, no, I mean, if you have a solution. No, okay, she would like to hear that. I'm sure many of our viewers would like to also, but how do we get the kids to own it? Because very often when we have a helper, it's always that neat, right? But take away the helper, take away the parents, the mess is strewn all around, especially toys. So any system that you would advise, or where is a basic starting point? So maybe what I'm asking for is here. You don't have to give us, but what can our viewers begin to do so that they begin to organize small spaces?
I think most importantly is lead by example. Lead by example. I think it's very important because what I noticed from my clients, kids really emulate their parents. And they can put back things in the same place. So say for instance the drawer. Everything is put back into the drawer. But when I open a drawer, it's messy. But when I create a system, they know exactly where to put things. Of course, we are talking about like a reasonable age here, not talking about like 2 years old or 3 years old. At an age maybe like 4, 5, they are able to open up a drawer and put things back. So what I do is I compartmentalize certain things, and I also put it at their eye level. And for messier toys, I put it harder to reach area, so that there is always an adult playing with them, especially like Lego, this kind of toys, right? We don't want them to swallow it or eat it. So I tend to organize things according to eye level.
Very, very smart. What I'm hearing is there's so much thought process, right? In what she does, right? Like the smaller items, you just put it higher, which makes sense. Then the kids can't even access it anymore, which means that we don't have to clear it up.
And also, I think it depends on the containers. So sometimes when I go to a space, right, I look at everything. It's actually organized. Kids know exactly which container to take, and they have their favorite toys in this particular container. But it just didn't work out for them, just because the container is harder for them to put it back and also take it out. So they usually take it out and don't put it back. Yeah, so when I swap out the containers, okay, so for instance, like there's no example for me to show, but this open lid container, right? So it's very deep. It's really very deep. So if you put all their favorite toys inside, right, it's hard for them to reach. So it's hard for them to put back as well. So they just dump everything, or when I go to a client's place, the box is usually empty because it's hard to put it in, right? But so I swap it out for towers. Yeah, towers instead, because towers are longer, deeper, and the same volume, you can fit maybe 4 or 5 towers. And so they just grab their towel. They know how to grab their towel. So they grab the towel, and after you wash, you put the towel back. So it's very easy for them to follow through. And I use a smaller, shallower box for certain toys, so where they can just grab, put back.
I'm just thinking, right? There's so much, so much in what you just shared. Where would be a space that if parents were to start decluttering, I think this is, December, we do have time. Where would be a space you would say we could start with that first?
The easiest for my client would be their washroom.
Washroom, toilet?
Yeah, toilet. It's the easiest. Okay, because the space is really small, it's smaller. So to be honest, like my top 3 hardest space to declutter, and that's where I get my most inquiry from, is actually wardrobe, storeroom, and kitchen. Yeah, when you do these 3 areas or you attempt to do these 3 areas, the chances of them doing the other areas is very slim because they are already overwhelmed, right? So they need to do a space where it's small enough for them to manage before they could tackle the other spaces.
Very interesting. Okay, very good. No, I'm just smiling because I had a conversation with a friend this morning, and she was sharing how she was decluttering the wardrobe, and you are right. Literally, she fell asleep with like all the clothes, but at least they started, right? I mean, that starting point deserves an applause, right?
Correct. True.
Wonderful.
But they should finish it.
Yeah.
What about an organized mess? What are your thoughts about that? Because
That's fine. Organized mess is still okay. So I think it depends on how you want to see certain things. So and how many stakeholders are involved and how old are the stakeholders. You know what I mean? So organized mess works when there is great when there's 2 adults. So you notice that, a married couple, when the house is messy, they're okay because they know they are adults, they can read instructions, they know where exactly to find things, even though things are a bit messier. Like for instance, a pile of letters. You just go there, dig, okay, and then, okay, this is for me, this is for you, just look through everything, But let's say, for instance, I share space and I'm a fan of co-living space. I would prefer things to be put aside in a particular manner whereby anybody who actually enter the space knows where to find it. So like from my house, right, anybody who just walks in through my door, they know exactly where to find my things. Or if let's say I give them a certain instruction, say that, oh, they need certain things from me. I say that, okay, it's like on my study table, the right drawer, okay? Then when they open, it's because it's so organized, they just grab it. Yeah, I like the 3-second rules,
What, in terms of dropping food?
No, not dropping food. In terms of grabbing things. Yeah.
As in, it's convenient enough to grab.
Yeah, convenient for me to take without thinking. Because I'm trying to eliminate the thinking process.
Okay. I'm guessing what you're saying is like, so for us, when we go home, right, the mantelpiece there is where we put the keys, the sunglasses, the things. And likewise, when we go out is where we grab them on our way out, right? Something like that. And then a space for the school bags. And that's just, and I'm just at this thought, right? Can I ask you? So when you talk about wardrobe, I'm just thinking about my wardrobe, open, boom, avalanche, right? Even though the rest looks neat, right? So I'm just thinking, do you advocate like decluttering, like really giving away, throwing away? Because, yeah.
Okay, this is actually a very touchy topic because some people just prefer to have a lot of items. Some people like to be a minimalist. So for me, I'm a minimalist, and some of my clients just like to keep all the things. So it really depends on how often you use stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, or you can actually rotate it out. So like some seasonal stuff, like you have like maybe 100. Trust me, this is normal for my clients. You have like 100 pieces of dresses. It's very normal. And you know that you don't use these 100 dresses. You never use, but they don't want to give it away. So what I suggest them to do is, because there's limited space, and space to me, whatever you see in your cupboard is assets. Okay, so I will just like pack those that is like, I classify them as seasonal, current, non-current, and I'll pack them away so they can swap it out. And I pack them according to colors. So sometimes people have like 100 pieces of clothes, right? It's hard to find certain things. So I box it up into colors like white dresses, yellow dresses, so that if they want to find it, it's easier for them to find. So that pile might be messy, but it will not be so messy.
This is like brain explosion.
I know. When I'm talking to her, I know I may come so naturally to you, right? I get, because what I'm thinking is now it's like the clothes that I don't use as much, I hide it behind. Not hide it behind. It's behind because it's not something I'm not going to be assessing, especially with no holidays now, right? For 2 years. So wow, but then got colors some more.
Yeah. It's like how thorough you want to go, It really depends on how thorough you want to go and how much space I have to play with certain things. Because to be honest, if the clients who reach out to me, they are disorganized already. So for me to bring them from this level to this level is not possible. Let's be realistic about it, So what I can do is I can minimize their impact, and hopefully, gradually, fingers crossed, they will change. They will transit from this level to this level. But they need to feel like they have leveled up themselves. So I can only help them to organize in a way where they will not mess it up so quickly.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. So it's like at least they get to experience that order for a while, and after that, do I want that to continue? And then to slowly expand that
this is actually to reduce the chances of relapse.
Oh, I got relapse.
Wow.
So chances of relapse.
And now we're talking. All right.
Okay, I hear you. No, but and I think it's very interesting because I get what you do. I mean, the amazing work you do. So start with a small space, be realistic with ourselves. But if we like that, begin to expand that space across the entire house. So we don't have to do you know, overhaul the entire house to begin with. I think that's good news. And now we're about to bring the conversation back to Sophia, who's been quiet but making a lot of interesting faces.
No, I was trying to digest for the past 20 years how do I actually manage to declutter and all the stuff. But actually the truth is, the only time I can declutter is to move out of the house.
And then there's a major exercise where
because
you
I will
throw
tell
it
my
off.
kids, you only have 10 boxes, that's all you have. You put everything inside, whatever it is, throw.
Understand.
So they can't do anything about it. They just have to choose.
But Sophia, I think the question I want to ask you is, I think a lot of moms will find, how did you come up with a system where you even can squeeze in your own nap time? So nap is important to you, because I think sometimes the picture of a stay-at-home mom is this frazzled lady who wears pajamas the whole day and, you know, it smells, you know, not very pleasant. But you even made time for your own nap because that's something that you prioritize. How did you create a system as such?
Because I think all kids need to nap, actually, to be honest, for them to have the energy to have whatever they want to do. Their energy is actually higher than us. So when I started from babies, the babies actually supposed to sleep longer. So what I do is I'll make them sleep first. Then usually I take lesser naps compared to the babies and the child. So it becomes a habit, because when the first child do that, the second child do that, the third child do that, the fourth, they know nap time is coming, you know. So then they will automatically go and rest. Even though they lie down there talking to each other, it's fine, as long as they are lying down and rest. So, but chances is I will sleep later and I'll wake up first because I need to prepare for dinner and all those stuff. So I do have a rest. That half an hour rest for me is very powerful, because I wake up very early and I sleep very late. Just like I'm the first one to wake up, I'm the last one to sleep. So the half of hour give me a lot of energy.
Literally a power nap, yeah?
Yes.
And now I want to talk about authority, right? Because when we talk about COO, we are talking about authority. And it's very different in workplace and at home, right? So how do you establish your authority when the kids don't listen? So in the beginning, did they, you know, obediently, you say sleep, they say okay. You know, I mean, how did you deal with disobedience?
I think it's more like negotiation. Okay, when you want something, you negotiate. So it starts from young. So you want to watch TV, right? Your favorite cartoon coming, right? Or your hi-fi, I think like that time the period was hi-fi. You want to watch hi-fi at 5, right? So you must sleep at this time, then you might wake up at this time to watch. So it's like a target for them. So it's like setting a goal. Okay, my goal is to wake up at 5 o'clock to watch my hi-fi. Then I need to sleep at one time. Mommy say I need to nap for 1 hour, so I need to backtrack. So these are what they do. If you overslept, then no matter. So they will manage. Somehow or other, when you do negotiation with them, it works. And even for mealtime. So if you eat your lunch, I give you an hour to eat. You can eat to, watch TV or whatever. But if after that hour, you haven't finished, too bad. You go to the kitchen with nothing, you're just facing the kitchen wall and all stuff. So then you have to finish your food. Then you miss all your whatever entertainment you want to have. So they will try to finish within the hours. Then they will have the entertainment later. So sometimes it depends on their mood. They don't do it, then we just have to follow what we set. Okay. Most important is whatever you say,
do it.
You have to do it.
Yes.
Don't say for the sake of saying it, because you will not get the respect anymore. Your authority is gone. Okay, so when you say that if you don't finish your food, you won't get to watch TV for the next 2 days, you make sure next 2 days you don't get the TV, example. So yeah, this is something of authority. So don't eat your own words.
And that's something critical, right? Because I think very often parents tend to, you don't tidy this up, then no more watching TV. But then I say it in anger. And because I say it in anger, I have no intention, and the child also knows mom is not going to carry it out. Then it continues that pattern, that habit. Compared to when I'm calm, I just said this is the boundary. Think through, does it serve them and us? Am I setting us for success? And then implement it very calmly instead of being reactive. Yeah. So thank you so much, Sophia. And Mythili, I want to ask you, with older kids now. So she had the foresight of training her children when they were young, right? And then point, all follow. If now older children, let's say, I don't have that already, you know, and they are openly defiant. How do we get a buy-in with the slightly older, more rebellious kids?
I think it's about enrolling, right? So basically, you just have to Tell them, if you don't do these are the consequences. This is exactly why you need to do this, and sell it to them as if it's a package, you know, like you do this, you get this and this and this and this, and then if you don't do it, then you don't get all of this, you know. Is that what you really want? And that's how it works, you know, because you can't, I mean, I don't believe in hitting. I don't believe in violence because violence begets violence. You hit your child, then, you know, you can't say, hey, why are you hitting your brother? But I did it, you know? So it doesn't make sense. So it's all about you are what you say, and your words are your promises, right? And exactly. So if you can sell the idea of getting that action done, then you're bought.
Oh no, I hit my nephew.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, well, we
No, it's fine. I mean, so did I. I mean, honestly, so did I. I hate my children, and then after that, I go back, I apologize, and I tell them that was an anger. That's not a demonstration of love. I am so sorry. And then I use that to connect.
Why I do that.
For me, after that, I complete, right? Like, so for me, I tell them, hey, mommy is not going to be perfect until the day I die. So I'm not even going to try, but I'm going to say that what I just did is unacceptable, and I'm so sorry. My demonstration wasn't. So I think in that space, I open up that I can be vulnerable, and I show them that I do fail. And then when I fail, I come back and clean it up. I mean, we will fail multiple times in life. Just clean it up.
And you mend that relationship, because hitting is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you don't want people going on the streets and hitting each other. That's not acceptable. So we cannot model that behavior at home either.
Yes, and I tell them I am work in progress as well. I was so angry just now, and I'm so sorry. Help me next time, so that I even get them to help me, to hold me accountable. Yeah, I love what you're saying. Because I think the common theme that I'm hearing to answer this question, how do we manage at home without a helper? Any strategies? What I'm hearing, right, is number one, start them on very good habits, right? And then like what Dr. Mythili is saying also, sell it to them like a package. Hey, we get to do this. Because sometimes we forget the fun element, right? We are like, do this, and then it becomes, you know. But when we sell it, like, and then you get this, what would you like? I think it changes the whole dynamics of the entire conversation.
But I think I want to add on is, you try to show your kids that, you know, you do it for mommy, you know, you love mommy, right? So you use that as an emotion to them. They will do it willingly for you.
But isn't that called emotional blackmail?
That's it. I wouldn't agree with that at all.
No, but what I mean is it's not say do for me. See, what I want you to do this is for your own good. It's out of love. I want you to be this way.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm more like, why do I want to teach you bad and make you get harm outside? So when I wanted you to do this, it's because it's for your own good. I don't want to, we're trying to protect our children, but we can't really protect you forever because we want you to do it correctly. So you protect yourself. So what our intention is love. So when they see that way, they might come back, you know, in returns in terms that, okay, just like when they see I'm tired, after a while they say, mommy, you okay? You need my help. They are more automatic rather than I need to ask, anybody going to help me? Are you going to help me? You know, it's like that. It's no longer this way, you see.
I love what you're saying, because what I'm hearing is you are creating a culture where in your communication to them, there is an understanding. So it's not just do this because I say so, because I'm the mom, but there is the understanding so that, you know, as you go out, you would understand the different cultures, right? So my question is this, in setting a culture and in answering the question, sometimes, I mean, every family unit, the culture is going to be different, right? But how do we, specifically for you, Sophia, encourage values?
I think it all starts from ourselves. What we want our kids to be, we have to demonstrate. I think we are the role model. And kids, when they're young, they don't listen much. They see. By looking at the action, it picks up very fast. So we have to be, I think what we do is we have to be conscious about what we do and how we talk. So if you look at a child, how the child behaves, and if the way the child speaks, you look at the caretaker, it looks exactly the same. Okay, I'm not surprised. So it is how the caretaker portrays. You don't know. I don't know how I speak. I can speak very loudly, laugh very loudly. Then my kids actually are doing the same thing. And I can be very, okay, I could be very quiet. I don't always talk a lot. It could be me. I'm like that. And my kids are like that. So if you look at a child and you think back, that this person doesn't look similar. Okay, this might not be the child caretaker.
Main caregiver.
Yeah. So it could be the main caregiver, somebody else. So it could be our parents. It could be our siblings or all these things. So it actually does affect the child. So when that child speaks badly, sad to say, it's the caretaker. I won't say it's parents. I say it's the caretaker. So that's why I always tell my mom, because last time my mom take care of my nephew and niece, she said, scared to beat, scared to discipline, not my child. I said, no, you are the caretaker. So you have to set the rule so that they know. So because it's just a difficulty for grandparents, because they find that, cannot grandchildren or cannot discipline, they want what, give them what. No, I say this is totally wrong. So this is how I feel as if you want to set values and rules, start from yourself or the person that you're going to put under, your child going to put under, because there's a lot of working mom. So we have to be careful with that. So in terms of behavior, all start from beginning, not in school, it start from home.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And with that, right, I want to pick off from what you say. Sometimes within a family unit itself, it's not just the main caregiver, but I've also got a helper. So for example, because I think in Singapore, we do have a lot. So Dr. Mythili, how do you think we can create that culture where everyone is aligned, towards certain positive cultures?
I think it stems from respect. And when we show respect to the children, because they are their own person and their own right, when we start to respect them as people, they will then show respect to you and to everyone else in the family unit. So in terms of the helpers, because they are also human beings, we need to show them the respect that they need. And the dogs as well. Do you know what I mean? So every single living individual needs to be respected. And with that respect as the basis, then we can build on love and education and, kissing boo-boos and all of those things. Do you know what I mean? So even with grandparents, especially with grandparents.
Correct.
Yeah.
But so that's tricky, right? Because I love what you say about respect, especially respecting our helpers. Yeah. Because sometimes we don't respect our helpers. I mean, I've seen how people treat helpers, and it's really not a very good example, right?
It shows. It shows.
I think that because I'm a stay-at-home mom, I bring my kids to school, I see helpers waiting for the children. The sight of how the children treat the helper, I can imagine that's how the parents treat the helper. The way they talk, I want this, I want that. So it could be how the parents portray and how the kids absorb it, and then they transfer it exactly to the helper. So it is very important, I feel, because you see when you are looking at how people take care, like even for grandparents to pick up the kids, right? The grandparent is so old, they're carrying the bag, the school bag, like 10 kg for the grandchildren.
So how? Okay, so my question is this. If the grandparent, there's that tension, give in, it's okay, the job of the grandparents is to spoil the grandkids. I mean, that's a common, then how? How do we deal with that good intention? Because I'm sure the parents and grandparents both come from good spaces, but different ways of showing their love. How do we then mitigate that conflict or that undermining of authority?
Setting ground rules.
Yes.
This is what is done, this is not done. And as a parent, as the person who is a responsible adult for the child, needs to set the ground rules. And if you're meant to carry your own school bag, if you're meant to take charge of it, then you carry it. If it's too heavy, find a way to leave some things at home or at school. Do you know what I mean? It's very simple.
Just learn to manage
it. And they need that space to learn.
I love how you I love how you say it so matter of factly, right? This is it. So if it's going to be too heavy, then find your solution around it, right? Instead of changing what we said as the rule, you find your ways around that. So I think a very common trend I hear is not just setting the rules, because I think setting the rules is something that a lot of us do, but it's the enforcing of it that we tend not to do, and then it becomes bouncy, right, or springy, and that's why it doesn't hold water, and that's where the system completely fails, right? So, and what I heard, I mean, just to answer the question, I realized the question came on, we spoke about it, we didn't address it, is really natural consequences, allowing our children to face the natural consequences. In 1 hour, you don't finish, we put it in the kitchen, you can still continue eating, face the four walls. And then for yours, you know, if your bag is too heavy, no, what is going to carry for you? Creatively put it under your table, leave some, pack your bag every day, and then just enforce it. And after a while, I think the children will know, mommy means what she says. Daddy, when they say this, this will happen. Yeah. So enforcing it, like own what we say, right? And say what we mean and do it. Wonderful.
Yes.
And now for you, our professional organizer, how are there certain rituals or routines or spaces that we can organize for the environment to help support a positive family culture?
All the spaces are interlinked, to be very honest with you. All the spaces are very much interlinked. So if let's say we want to support a good culture within the family itself, you need to start with like I said, again, a space that is manageable for you first. Because this spreads. Anything that is manageable spreads to other areas that's not less manageable. So it encourages people to also, because it's manageable and the place is kept neat already. So the stakeholders who are living in that space will continue keeping the space neat. And also because habits are built over time, the other spaces will also naturally be more organized, even though it's messy sometimes.
So what I'm hearing you say, right, is really start with something small, and then just own that one space. For how long? 1 month? You know, like just be neat.
No, forever, you know.
Okay. No, I mean, everybody is all like, no, forever. She says it's a matter of fact.
Honestly, once you have a system, right, it's not difficult for you to continue that structure. So like even for my customer, like my clients who are from here to, they can eventually reach here. To be honest, some of them even jump multiple steps and reach a level that I never expect them to.
Wow.
They were really very messy, very
How?
disorganized.
What is that secret?
Okay, when they know and so basically they never experience what is it like to be free. So once they learn how to be free and enjoy the space and start bringing people in, they know that, you know, it has to be a continuous action that you have to do. Like one of my customers, she actually it's a very interesting client that I have. She has a lot of insecurities issues, and I found it through organizing. So through organizing, I was like trying to do, luckily she's very nice also, she wants to pare down a lot of items. So while paring down, so I asked her certain questions like, oh, do you realize that you have like maybe 50 white dresses, and it's not like 50 different white dresses, it's 50 similar design white dresses. Then she said, oh, I don't remember this design, I don't remember that design. Or even like, you know, cotton buds, cotton wools, they have like in carton boxes, like literally carton boxes, and they forgot about it. And trust me, they really forgot about it. And she said that every time I walk into Guardian, I really need to buy something to feel secure. So once I set the system in place for everything, she knows how much stock she has. She stopped buying. And one day when I visited her, she just told me that, hey, do you know during 11/11 sale, I didn't buy anything, I was so proud of myself. I was like, yeah. And I think for me, it's like the reason why I really like doing this is also for them to understand that they have enough to feel secure. Now she's actually looking for the next high, you know, like now she's actually inviting her friends back for the first time. Like, yeah, I think last week I was going to check in with her. She's inviting her friends back, celebrating the space. So I think once they know that this space can be used for some things or can be, you know, celebrated, you know, they would want to maintain the space.
I think I have a sense, I do have a real sense of what you mean, because for me, right, when our living room, let's just say, you know, our living room, when you come in, right, it's so clean, right? I'm very, very intentional. Our table in the past used to have books and everything stacked up. And then when I decided, no, a table must be empty, we literally began to intentionally, I didn't meet you then, okay? But began to create spaces to hide all those. And I think what it wonderfully created, right, is walking in, it's such a pleasant experience. It's like, there's no clutter here, there, you know, there's such an amazing space. But my room, my wardrobe still needs to be worked on.
Okay, I'll help you with that.
No, that's and I love what you pointed out, because I think very often our environment reflects our mindset, where we are. So for example, if I'm a hoarder, maybe I do have insecurity issues that I could work on if I want to.
And I think the reason why I'm doing this is because I feel like I'm not a doctor, but that's the easiest way for me to help someone, you know, like for help someone to actually see where they are and who they want to be. It's the easiest fundamental step to, you know, declutter. Once they clear the space, not even declutter, I don't even need them to declutter, you know. I I just need them to have a system, to be organized, and then they will really like have a compass in life. Like that's what I feel. Like, that's what
I think I do agree with Alex. I think my space that is very important is the dining table. Because that place actually is like, a study table, everything we do it there. So it must be clean at all times, because anytime we need to change, like, change of activities and all stuff. And we enjoy eating meals together with the whole family because we can really talk, communicate. So dining table is somewhere that I cannot see clutter. It must be really, I would say, clear, so that anything that we can do, we can sit down there and talk. We try to play at the dining table mahjong with the whole family. So things like that, it happens there. So another place that I think that is very important is their individual beds. All their beds has to be clean, as in, not say clean, as in just their bolsters and all. No books, no clothes, no nothing, because that space is important because they need to rest. So I'm only particular in these two particular places that I will scream and shout and all stuff. But I do feel that before I think a few years ago, they are all four sleeping in one room. So whenever they are on their beds, right, there's so much thing to talk because it's their comfort zone. And it's like more relaxing, all those stuff. So I think it's very important. And I don't like to split the kids when they're still young, because they do build bonding before they sleep, because they lie down, they chit chat, they talk about everything until my husband has asked, can you keep quiet, go and sleep?
Understand?
Things like that, you know what I mean? Because it's very noisy, you see, everybody with it. Now it's different. We split them two rooms, then they have to shout across the room, or even worse.
Oh my goodness.
I can imagine the
play
bonding.
games together. They can scold each other, say why you came here. Oh, this is all interaction. So yeah, things we have to move. We have to move with technologies and what happened. But yes, I agree that you need to have one space that is really clear of clutter, so that things can happen there.
Yeah, and you can also go there and cool down, like seriously.
Correct,
I mean,
correct.
if every space is like, messy,
Yeah, they know where to
you cannot
go.
cool down. And
Yes.
to be honest, I think there's high ROI when things are organized.
Correct.
Like the ROI is really high. Like you save money, good for environment, my space, everything is just great.
I fully agree. I remember there was a period in my life, right, where my house was very, very messy. My daughter took 20 minutes to find one Chinese textbook to read, And then by the end of 20 minutes, you can imagine my energy is down. We are all exhausted. Haven't even started on the task. But today, right, just go there. It's there. So, 20 minutes, right, and searching is one of the most, like, it's not just a time waster, but it's frustrating. The entire experience is like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And that happened on a daily basis. Insanity, right? So we changed the whole thing. Okay, so in closing, I just want to ask, what is one actionable tip each of you want to leave the audience with? Sophia?
I think what I always do, I've been doing it now, as in, I always start a day feeling unconditional gratitude. Okay?
Start the day feeling unconditional gratitude.
Because if you start your day correct, the whole day will be fine. I mean, even like, okay, sorry, just like today, right? I was on time, okay? But I feel grateful that at least I'm on time, So I feel grateful about the driver trying to speed me here. I feel grateful that you are waiting for me. So everything's still okay, you see? So if I get angry, you can imagine if I get angry, I don't come, then things get upset, then I won't be able to share down here, and everything will just go down. So I think unconditional gratitude is very important for everybody. It's not easy, but we have to try. And I've been doing it before I sleep and when I wake up. So it makes me feel, the more you feel gratitude about, the more things you can feel gratitude for. So that is something that I learned for the past 2 years.
Thank you so much. I love even though you just say start the morning, in you just saying on your way here, I realized that it's not just morning and night, but throughout your day, you have literally peppered your entire day with really being grateful for what you have. So thank you so much, Sophia. Yeah.
All right.
Dr. Mythili.
Yeah, well, I believe truly you are exactly what you eat. So being very mindful about what you're putting into your mouth, and ensuring that you understand the source of it. It's not coming from a plant, as in a manufacturing plant, but actually from a plant, or at least knowing where it's coming from is really important. So being mindful about what you're eating, knowing what's going into your mouth, because that's going to affect the rest of your livelihood, not just your day, but the entire life that you have on earth, makes a huge difference. So being mindful about what you're putting into your mouth really matters.
Wonderful.
For your kids as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, because instead of just eating, right, for the sake of filling the stomach, to be present to what is going in. Thank you for that reminder, yeah, that consciousness. And Alex, for you?
Okay, for me, it's actually to be mindful about your space. It's really like
Copy.
everybody's about mindfulness today.
Yeah.
So it's like really about mindful about your space and the stakeholders that is actually living in this space. Yeah, that's all I have.
Wonderful. I think instead of taking it for granted, wherever you are today, viewers, you can actually go home, like start practicing this gratitude, right? Where even if the kids are shouting, I remember reading, I thank God that my kids can actually have a voice. I mean, they actually, I mean, imagine if your child was mute, right? Like, I thank God my kids have the voice and they have healthy lungs, right?
And they're expressive.
And they are expressive. They are not like duh, right? And then let's be mindful about what we put into our mouths, not just for us, because we are the role models for our children, and also our spaces. Is there one space, the toilet, that we can just begin to declutter, throw away the old creams that have expired 3 years ago, you know? Just get rid of it, because it really clears the mind, yeah? And with that, I trust it was a very enjoyable session. Stay tuned for our third and final panel session for today, where we will be talking about wealth creation. We will be exploring alternative sources of income. And with that, I will hand you over to the beautiful Charlene, who will be telling you about your prizes. See you. Thank you so much. Bye.